Welcome to Political Beatdown. I'm Ben Meiselas, joined by the one and only Michael Cohen. First, we're going to start with an update from Michael Cohen on his trial coming up against the Trump Organization. Then we got to talk about Donald Trump's lawyers and, frankly, all MAGA Republicans attacking the FBI director, who is a Republican who Donald Trump appointed. Also, MAGA Republicans attacking the military again this week. They're putting poison pills in the form of various amendments in the National Defense Authorization Act. And MAGA Republican Senator Tommy Tuberville is placing a block on all military confirmations, effectively preventing promotions of hundreds of military leaders. Also, the MAGA Republican missing whistleblower turns out to be not a whistleblower at all, but a fugitive Chinese spy, an Iranian arms dealer. Republicans literally harboring and colluding with a spy from China. And we'll get you some special counsel Jack Smith updates as well. A lot to discuss. So let's get right into it. Michael Cohen, how are you?
How are you, my buddy? How are you, Brigaders?
Brigaders out there standing strong. Cohen, what's going on with your trial set to start soon? Remind the Brigaders the date, any updates since we last spoke earlier in the week. What can we expect?
Well, this trial is set in stone here in Supreme New York, and it will be going forward on July 24th. Something that you may have seen is that in our motion in limine, and in opposition, of course, to the motion in limine by Trump Organization Counsel, we were successful, and they will have to produce Donald Trump Jr. on the during the course of the trial. So we already served a subpoena, and we filed a cause of a motion for show cause. Why, in fact, and we already know the answer because the judge stated so in open court, that Don Trump Jr. is the co-CEO of the Trump Organization, will be obligated to testify based upon information that is needed to come up with the verdict that we're expecting at trial. So my trial, it's a state Supreme New York case for the legal fees. This is a 4-year in the wait. Finally, July 24th, that's where I'm going to be starting on the 24th. Jury selection starts on the 17th, which that's the voir diring of the jury. So that'll be quite exciting, to be honest with you. On top of that, and this is, again, something that so many of you have been a part of, and again, on behalf of myself and counsel and everyone, thank you to those who have joined me in the GoFundMe for that $500 million frivolous lawsuit that Trump sued me for. That case is in court on the 20th, and that's Southern District of Miami, and I'm contemplating on heading down there for the day. That's on the 20th, and the purpose of that is to create the discovery schedule for this trial. And again, it's very big because one of the things that we've asked for, which is pursuant to the rules, you have the right to, of course, depose the plaintiff, which we want to do. And we gave them the requisite 90-day, 90-day request for plaintiff to be deposed. Counsel for plaintiff Trump has requested in his discovery documents that you can't make this shit up, that the deposition of Donald is to be held 90 days after the election. So we're talking about, give or take, about 18 months from now, which, of course, we oppose.
So Donald Trump has the time to file a frivolous $500 million lawsuit against you and haul you into court, place all these personal burdens on you. But when you say, okay, you sued me, I'd like to take your deposition. Oh, I'm way too busy to take your deposition, because apparently he's too busy posting things like this just before the show. Here's what Donald Trump posted on his social media platform. He goes, "I never thought I would say that as the leading political opponent of crooked Joe Biden, getting indicted and arrested by sick government thugs would be my great honor. I am doing it for our country, to show how evil and sinister a place it has become. MAGA, exclamation point, exclamation point." I mean, such a malignant narcissist. This is exactly the type of things that authoritarians in the past said. You didn't steal classified information and nuclear secrets, show it to random people, deny free and fair elections, try to destroy our democracy for the people, for our country. Yet, as we talk more throughout this episode, we're just going to see how this Republican Party is no longer a conservative party. They are purely the dysfunctional idiocracy, fascists that Donald Trump has created. They are in the image of Donald Trump. They attack the military, they attack the FBI, they attack our democracy each and
Law
every day.
enforcement, they attack the critics, they attack everybody. But one of the things, Ben, that I am truly hoping is that he's somewhat right in his post, which is that we like to see him do something for the country. And what it is that we would like to see is Donald end up in prison. I don't care how he wants to describe it. As long as he ends up where he belongs for the benefit of the country, I'm okay with that. I'll actually even send him some commissary money.
This is his other post right here. He goes, "It's just been announced that the, quote, investigation of cocaine in the White House has ended, despite all of the cameras pointing directly at the scene of the crime and the greatest forensics anywhere in the world. They can't figure it out. They know the answer, and so does everyone else. In the meantime, they continue to target and investigate me for years in what has been called the greatest witch hunt of all time, over nothing." And he puts that in caps. That's why I said it like that. Then he puts in caps, "election interference and a two-tier level of justice." Look, if you had a friend, coworker, colleague, family member who wrote messages like this, you would need to check them in for a 5150 involuntary hold. This is the individual who MAGA Republicans anoint as their cult leader, want to give the nuclear codes back to, wants to have him control our military and make life and death decisions.
And
There's
Ben, this
no
is the same guy.
conspiracy too stupid for him at all.
Yep. And this is the same guy, Ben, who the FBI ended up getting information about all of the documents being kept there at Mar-a-Lago in that storage facility, but somehow or another, they're missing videotape in terms of who is coming and who is going. So this is the guy who wants to talk about cameras, and this is the guy who wants to talk about drugs, but he knows, of course, Donald knows whose cocaine it is. And again, I don't know even how much. I heard it was like a really sort of inconsequential amount. Obviously, it shouldn't be there. And I acknowledge that. However, what he's intimating is really fucking disgusting. All right. He knows of Hunter Biden's addiction, and he knows of the struggles that this man has has gone through, and the pain that it has caused his entire family. So what does Donald do? He immediately jumps onto that pain, and he needs to exacerbate it because somehow in his sick and demented mind, he thinks that that's going to end up creating some sort of a benefit. Yeah, let's all stop the investigation into election interference. Let's all stop the investigation into the document, the documents at Mar-a-Lago, the top secret documents, and the obstruction of justice because someone found a dime bag or whatever the hell they call that of cocaine in the White House. You're right, because Donald says or intimates that it's Hunter Biden's because Hunter Biden is a former drug addict And I guess, I don't know the proper way to describe it. People who have drug addictions will tell you that they're never cured, but they are certainly non-users. So he's trying to hurt the Biden family. He's trying to hurt Hunter Biden, but most specifically Joe Biden, by turning around and putting out these disgraceful, really, truly disgraceful posts on his Untruth Social.
Yeah, the little tiny baggie of cocaine was found in an area where thousands of people actually enter each day. There's a cubby area for people who
Yes,
are
recovering
entering.
addict is what they call
You
that.
know,
I
yeah,
apologize.
a cubby area where thousands of people visit the West Wing. At that specific time, the Biden family was not even at the White House. It is a ludicrous suggestion. Regardless of the cameras, it's impossible to know who it was because it was in a guest visitor cubby area. And again, thousands of people visit that area. That's where they have to drop their cell phones and personal belongings on before they enter. So again, it's just Donald Trump spreading conspiracy theories. And by the way, who even gives a crap? There are real issues that Americans are dealing with. The fact that MAGA Republicans are simply a cult and all they know how to do is put in big capital letters, MAGA, 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 MAGA. It's like people are looking for solutions to make their lives better paying jobs, bringing manufacturing back to the United States, better working conditions, better infrastructure, better healthcare, better education, protecting seniors, protecting Medicare, protecting students, protecting veterans, supporting our troops. And all MAGA Republicans have are these deranged conspiracy theories that are all projection and confession. So over this past,
right, Ben, it's Hunter, 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 Hunter. That's all that they're trying to do. Hunter's laptop, now cocaine. Then they're talking about Burisma. Look. As I say, and one of the things he's talking about is a two-tier justice system. Well, I actually agree with Donald on that one. We do have a two-tier justice system. Now, I don't care if you're Republican. I don't care if you're Democrat. I don't care if you're independent. I don't care if you're a Martian. All right? There is a two-tier justice system. But you know who's responsible for making it a lot worse? And that's Donald Trump himself. Donald is the one who created the two-tier system. You may have heard, Ted Lieu during this hearing that took place yesterday with FBI Director Wray, made a statement, and they're talking about, how Trump had this two-tier system, and I take offense to some of the things that Ted Lieu had said. I know that Salty's going to play the clip when we're ready for it, but let me be very clear on this topic. It's something that I am fighting about on a daily basis. There is a two-tier system. There is no reason in the world why a U.S. citizen should be imprisoned simply because he refuses to waive his First Amendment constitutional right. And I'm talking about myself. There is no reason in the world why a first-time tax offender who has no money outside of the country, that every dollar was deposited into Capital One Bank, and every single bank statement given to the accountant in a tabulated 3-ring notebook, why that person should be charged with tax evasion. Or if you have an 80% equity in your home, how is that a violation of HELOC, which is a home equity line of credit, or a line of credit predicated on a home's equity? All right. This is all bullshit. And what created the bullshit? Donald Trump's need, Donald Trump's desire to punish a critic who is speaking out against him, speaking truth to power. And so he used the Department of Justice, hence my book, Revenge, how Donald Trump weaponized the United States Department of Justice against his critic. Where Jim Jordan falls dead ass short in this specific case is Jim Jordan wants to start the weaponization of the Justice Department. He wants to start the two-tier system that we all know exists, all right, on the day that Joe Biden became president. And that's not going to happen because you have to look at the administration before, where there was so much abuse by the DOJ, so much abuse by the Attorney General, and all of this orchestrated by the former president himself. That's what makes Donald Trump the most dangerous person right now in America. And the fact that he's leading the GOP, he's going to lead the GOP right down into the dumpster of shit simply because while he may end up being the nominee, the son of a bitch cannot under any circumstance. And that's going to be on all of us to ensure that it becomes a blue wave in 2024, continuing everything that happened since 2020 when the red wave that was supposedly coming got smashed by a blue wave. 2022 midterms, same thing. 2024 has to be that blue tsunami that we're all expecting, that we all need. And we need to get rid of folks like Matt Gaetz. We need to get rid of folks like Jim Jordan, Lauren Boebert, Marjorie Toilet Green, Ted Cruz. We got to get rid of them all.
Yeah, I mean, because look, MAGA Republicans held this hearing this week called the Oversight of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. It was a hearing to attack Christopher Wray, the FBI director, who is a Republican, who is somebody that Donald Trump appointed, and Donald Trump said great things about him when he appointed him. Christopher Wray's been in law enforcement his entire life. I want to show you some of the clips of what went down at this hearing, but first I want to show you Eric Swalwell. And to your point, Michael Cohen, here Eric Swalwell is basically saying, I just want to get this straight. So what you're saying is that a private citizen's laptop is the reason that Donald Trump didn't win the 2020 election. It's not the fact that Republicans are losers and their policies are loser policies and the fact that you spread conspiracy theories. It's because of the laptop. Here, play this clip of Congressmember Eric Swalwell, Democrat.
Chairman, I've counted in this hearing, and we're only about an hour and a half in, the use of the word laptop about 20 times. In fact, in the chairman's opening statement, he said that he's upset that he believes the FBI prevented more Americans from learning about a private citizen's laptop. That is bananas to me. You all are bringing up FISA every single question. You're essentially saying to the American people that you're guardians of personal security and privacy. But the 2020 election was determined because the FBI didn't let more Americans see a private citizen's non-consensual nudes? Is that what we're saying here? That you lost the election not because of your ideas, but because a private citizen's laptop
Do you want an answer? Will you
wasn't
yield?
out there?
Will you yield?
That's bananas. Like, you should be a party of ideas, not a party of non-consensual nudes to help you win an election.
Will you yield for an
answer? It seems
answer?
like that is what the objection is here today. We should be talking about the mass shootings that occurred over the last 10 days. Instead, this hearing has turned into absolute chaos. And I yield back.
Time of the gentleman.
Indeed, absolute chaos, because compare that to MAGA Republican Harriet Hagman. She's the congresswoman from Wyoming who took over Liz Cheney's seat. This is her accusing the FBI director of discriminating against conservatives. A conservative FBI director who's like, do you know how insane you sound right now? Here, play the clip.
Mr. Wray, from the Twitter files, Missouri versus Biden disclosures, the Durham investigation and report, and exposure and collapse of the Russian collusion hoax, the American people fully understand that there is a two-tiered justice system that has been weaponized to persecute people based on their political beliefs, and that you have personally worked to weaponize the FBI against conservatives. I asked Mr. Durham about this, to which he answered, I don't think that things can go too much further with the view that law enforcement, particularly the FBI or Department of Justice, runs a two-tiered system of justice. The nation can't stand under those circumstances. Director Wray, what are you prepared to do to reform federal law enforcement in a manner which earns back the trust of the American people?
Well, first off, I would disagree with your characterization of the FBI and certainly your description of my own approach. The idea that I'm biased against conservatives seems somewhat insane to me, given my own personal background. As to how we are approaching our work of protecting the American people and upholding the Constitution, it starts with me having emphasized to all of our folks over and over and over again in everything we do that we need to do the right thing in the right way, and that means following the facts wherever they lead, no matter who likes it.
Cohen, what do you think about that?
What do I think? I'll tell you what I think. It's one of the reasons why I am right now standing at this line of throwing my hat into the rink as it relates to becoming a member of Congress, something that we've talked about here on the Beatdown. In fact, I have a meeting on Monday with a major Democratic strategist that is going to be a part of the campaign if I get one started. He is 100% behind the ideology that I want to bring to Washington, the problems that exist in Washington. The one thing I got to say is Hageman, I'm sure, made a couple of dollars by spewing the same Republican talking lines, the same bullshit again and again and again. You know, it's funny. They write this shit. They get up there. They get their 5 minutes. They think that they're fucking Socrates, you know, as they're speaking, when in fact they're fucking ignorant. They're just stupid. And good for Eric Swalwell for not yielding to Jimbo Jordan. All right, a guy who refused himself to sit for a subpoena. All right. I mean, it's amazing that he has the audacity to be the chair of this committee when he himself violated a congressional subpoena again and again and again. I mean, this is the part that fucking baffles me, and why nobody is really calling it out. Somebody needs to stand up. Maybe we have to be a little bit more like England, like Parliament, when they start heckling and so on, and not keeping quiet during some of these hearings. Jim Jordan should not be allowed to go on these rants, all right? If it's Eric Swalwell's turn, he should not be interrupting him, all right, unless Eric Swalwell runs out of time. That's his job. But instead, you know, he wants to now interject. Do you want an answer? 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 How about no, I don't? How about shut the fuck up? How about let me finish making the point that I want to make? Because you fucking obstructionist, you asshole who refused to acknowledge our own congressional subpoena. You do not have the right within which to interrupt me when I'm making my point. I mean, that's what's needed here. This group of radical right who have taken over. Jake Comer, another one. And these people sit as the chairs. They're sitting as chairs of committees. And these aren't just nonsensical, irrelevant type of committees. These are really significant committees. To judiciary, you have the director of the FBI. Now, what they should have been doing is asking him, let's go back and let's talk about the Trump administration. Because again, since when does the bullshit that's going on with DOJ, the bullshit that the FBI dealt with, the bullshit that's going on all throughout Washington, since when did it start on the day that Joe Biden won the election? It didn't. This is all a deflection by Trump and team in order to turn around and deflect from his evil, from his improper actions. And you know what? This is the part where I had gotten extremely angry at Ted Lieu for making a certain statement that, while 90% of it is accurate, the part about me is completely inaccurate, and he knows better because I have not one, but I have two. There's actually 3 letters. Here, there's 3 letters that Ted Lieu was involved with. He actually knows the answer, and I should not have been grouped in with the Roger Stones, the Paul Manaforts, the Mike Flynns, and so on, because these people are absolutely abhorrent. These are people that are looking to destroy our democracy, and I don't want to be grouped in with any of them.
Look, just talking about qualifications here, to your point, think about it. You've got Jim Jordan, who never passed the bar exam, who is
He never
not
took it. He never took it.
Who's not a licensed lawyer. We'll do some digging. I don't know his decision to take or not take, but let's just say that it would be unusual for somebody to graduate law school and just decide, I'm not even going to try to take the bar exam once. So we would be buying his narrative. I don't know one way or another, but compare that to right. It's like you just decided, hey, I want a career in law, but I don't want to be a licensed lawyer.
Compare that to Jamie Raskin. Compare that to Eric Swalwell, right? Good fucking luck.
How about compare it to Christopher Wray, his witness who's in there, who,
Okay.
by the way, Christopher Wray, a Republican who I probably disagree with on a lot of issues, but someone who has risen in a system that's a meritocracy, So he was appointed by Trump on August 2017. He graduated Yale undergrad in 1989. He graduated Yale Law School, passed the bar exam, joined the government in 1997 as an assistant United States attorney for the Northern District from Georgia. From 2003 to 2005, Wray served as assistant attorney general in charge of the criminal division in George W. Bush's administration, a litigation partner at one of the top law firms in the country, King and Spalding, from 2005 to 2016. Someone who's got the chops. I mean, he's got the qualifications there, and he's being questioned by Jim Jordan there, who's not a licensed attorney. Someone who somehow got a law license, but who just feels free to attack him because this is MAGA lawlessness.
Look.
Donald Trump's lawyer, Christina Bobb, recalls
Right.
she's also the custodian of records at Mar-a-Lago who signed the false declaration under penalty of perjury back in June of 2002, stating to the FBI that all documents and classified information was returned to the FBI and DOJ pursuant to a subpoena, which turned out to be completely and utterly false. She is a witness and perhaps a target of a criminal case against her. Here's what she said on one of these.
Let me just make one quick point before you take it to the next thing. Let's not forget Adam Schiff too. You're talking about real lawyers, real educated lawyers, not the wrestling coach. And again, if you're a wrestling coach, don't take this the wrong way. I respect all teachers. I really, believe me when I say it, I respect all teachers and so on. But your gym teacher, your wrestling coach is not a lawyer. All right. And what he's doing is he's employing the same sort of bullying tactic that you probably do on the mat. He thinks he's going to do it in our house, in the Congress. This is, as Eric Swalwell said, this is bananas. It's a nice way of saying this is fucked up. Wake the fuck up, Jim. And where was Jerry Nadler sitting there? He's sitting directly next. Why is this guy not opening his mouth and saying this stupidity has to stop? I'm not going to allow you to sit there and to denigrate the director of the FBI. If you have a question, not a commentary with no response, just a commentary denigrating the guy. And trust me, I know. I did 7 of those hearings. And the Republicans were fucking brutal each and every time. They make shit up. It's all about using the buzzwords. It's staying on message that the Trump group, sends to them. And that's all that they're doing. I mean, whether it's Matt Gaetz, whether it was this Hageman, whether it's Jim Jordan, all they do is use the same buzzwords in order to turn around and try to convince somebody of their position.
Here is Donald Trump's lawyer, Christina Bobb, threatening the FBI director, Republican, who Donald Trump appointed. Play the clip.
They're going after President Trump. They're raiding President Trump. I mean, the only thing that the FBI is targeting is conservatives. So I think Congress is doing a very good thing by taking a closer look at this. I think Christopher Wray should be very, very nervous about a change of power coming when President Trump gets back into office, because I think he'll lay bare what the FBI actually has been doing.
Yeah, that is called a threat right there. And here is MAGA Republican Congress member from Tennessee, Tim Burchett, saying we need to defund the DOJ, the FBI, and the Department of Defense. Yeah, that's a great idea. Play the clip.
We got to say, hey, we're going to cut your all's money off. We're tired of it. You all are not acting in good faith. None of these agencies are, and they're just overrun. It didn't happen overnight, but it sure as hell feels like it all of a sudden that because they have, from the FBI, Department of Justice, Department of Defense, all of them, they won't give you a straight answer. And so fine. I just say cut their money off until they come to the table.
Yeah, but look at where it's coming from. Lindell TV. Obviously, Mike Lindell, the now soon-to-be bankrupt pillow guy who's selling off his pillow stuffers right now at an equipment sale. I mean, seriously, I had said this, I think it was on the very first episode together, Ben, on Political Beatdown, when I said to the Brigaders, everything Trump touches dies. And you'll see that on posting ETTD. Everything Trump touches dies. You think that Mike Lindell made a lot of money, had a great life going. Somehow or another, he falls under the spell of Donald Trump, and now the guy's selling the equipment that he needs to stuff those fucked up pillows. Could you imagine how things have changed? And this guy now has Lindell TV with this Burchett, this schmuck and a half, who's sitting there and telling you, oh, well, we should defund. Let me tell you something. You defund the police, you defund the FBI, you defund some of these agencies up until the point that you need them. And then you turn around and you're like, what the fuck did we do? All right. What did we do? It's the same thing. You know, when people didn't realize just how dangerous Donald Trump can be, now with the 3 additional Supreme Court picks, look at what's happened. You have overturning of Roe v. Wade. You think that that's the end? It's just the beginning. And it's just the beginning, especially if, in fact, that Donald somehow manages to come back to power. And it's why I say every time that we're all together, Brigaders, we have to make sure that everyone we know gets out there and votes blue and create that blue tsunami that people like the Boberts and the Cruzes, the ones that are into this for the money, in order to raise money for their fucking coffers, right? What we need to do is we need to shut them all down, and we need to make them understand that this is not about them, despite the fact they all think it is. This is about America and doing right by the American people. Now, we could have differences of opinion, and I respect that, and I want differences of opinion. That's how you learn and grow. But under no circumstance do you have a 50-year case, meaning Roe versus Wade, where everybody acknowledged that they were going to respect stare decisis. Now you want to take away a woman's right to decide? You want to turn around and you want to have control over her uterus? The fuck?
Another sign that the Republican Party is completely no more and is just the MAGA Republican Party. One of their main agendas is attacking the military, like publicly attacking the military. I'm talking about putting poison pill amendments in the National Defense Authorization Act. You've got the MAGA Senator Tommy Tuberville from Alabama placing a complete stay, blocking all military confirmations all the way up to the top, including the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the new one who would set to be confirmed in October, and all of the others, under his leadership. I want to talk about that and more. Let's take a quick break first.
I have a big family, and that means there's usually a lot of trash left over by the time the work week comes to an end. And frankly, I used to feel a bit guilty about this, but then I got a Lomi. Now that I have a Lomi, it's changed the way I think about my food waste. First off, Lomi transforms my garbage into gold at the push of a button. Lomi's a countertop electric composter that turns food scraps to dirt in just under 4 hours. Now, I love composting, plus it's made cooking at home even more fun. There's no more food rotting in my garbage and smelling up the kitchen. Thanks to Lomi, I only have to take out the trash once a week, and it's a hassle-free, mess-free experience. No more leaking bags. Here's something cool too. I turn my waste into nutrient-rich dirt that I feed to my plants, lawn, or garden. That means it's not going to landfills and producing methane gas. I get to help the environment and make my life easier. And all the food scraps, plant clippings, and even those leftovers I forgot in the back of the fridge, they go back into my garden, helping me grow more nutritious food right from the backyard. I learned that food waste makes up a huge portion of our personal carbon footprint, and by reducing the amount of food that I send to a landfill, I'm helping to do my part for this planet while also feeding my garden. Now, whether you want to start making a positive environmental impact or just grow a beautiful garden, Lomi is perfect for you. Head to lomi.com/beat and use the promo code BEAT to get $50 off your Lomi. That's $50 off when you head to lomi.com/beat and use promo code BEAT at checkout. Thank you, Lomi, for sponsoring this.
Ben Meiselas here. Did you know that your temperature at night can have one of the greatest impacts on your sleep quality? If you wake up too hot or too cold, I highly recommend you check out Miracle Made's bed sheets. Inspired by NASA, Miracle Made uses silver-infused fabrics and makes temperature-regulating bedding so you can sleep at the perfect temperature all night long. Using silver-infused fabrics originally inspired by NASA, Miracle Made sheets are thermoregulating and designed to keep you at the perfect temperature all night long, so you get better sleep every night. These sheets are infused with silver that prevent up to 99.7% of bacterial growth, leaving them to stay cleaner and fresh 3 times longer than other sheets. No more gross odors. And get this, Miracle sheets are luxuriously comfortable without the high price tag of other luxury brands and feel as nice, if not nicer, than bed sheets used by some 5-star hotels. Stop sleeping on bacteria. Bacteria can clog your pores, causing breakouts and acne. Sleep clean with Miracle. Go to trymiracle.com/beat to try Miracle Made sheets today. And whether you're buying them for yourself or as a gift for a loved one, if you order today, you can save over 40%. And if you use our promo BEAT at checkout, you'll get 3 free towels and save an extra 20%. Miracle is so confident in their product, it's backed by a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you aren't 100% satisfied, you'll get a full refund. Upgrade your sleep with Miracle Made. Go to trymiracle.com/beat and use the code BEAT to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save over 40%. Again, that's trymiracle.com/beat to treat yourself. Thank you, Miracle Made, for sponsoring this episode. Welcome back to Political Beatdown. Ben Meiselas here with Michael Cohen.
Hey Ben, you think we can actually send him one of those bed sheets for solitary confinement when they ultimately lock his ass up?
No, I don't want him to have comfortable sheets. Those sheets are way too comfortable for him. Just give him the prison issued sheets, not those great Miracle Made sheets.
You're
that
a
will
mean
keep
guy,
you warm.
Ben. I got to tell you, you're a mean guy.
Hey, you know, when it comes to Donald Trump, he should be treated like all of the other prisoners.
Amen.
No one is above the law. Before talking about how MAGA Republicans are attacking our military by putting poison pill amendments in the National Defense Authorization Act and Tommy Tuberville's disgusting conduct blocking the military confirmations and promotions, I do want to show one other clip. This is from Democratic Congress member Ted Lieu at the hearing that was held yesterday with FBI Director Christopher Wray. Your name is mentioned in this list of other individuals. Michael Cohen, let's play it and get your reaction to it. Play the clip.
Trump advisor Roger Stone was convicted in a federal court, correct?
That's my recollection.
Trump donor Elliot Brady was convicted in a federal court, correct?
Also my recollection.
The Attorney General at the time for those 2 convictions was Bill Barr. Which president nominated Bill Barr for Attorney General?
President Trump.
Trump's former lawyer, Michael Cohen, was convicted on 2 separate occasions in a federal court, correct?
I believe that's correct.
The Attorney General at the time for Cohen's second conviction was Matthew Whitaker. Which president appointed Matthew Whitaker as acting Attorney General?
President Trump.
Trump's former campaign chairman, Paul Manafort, was convicted in a federal court, correct?
Yes.
Trump's former deputy campaign manager, Mr. Gates, was convicted in a federal court, correct?
That's my recollection.
Trump's campaign foreign policy advisor, George Papadopoulos, was convicted in a federal court, correct?
Yes, I think he pled guilty, yes.
The Attorney General at the time of those 3 cases was Jeff Sessions. Which president nominated Jeff Sessions for Attorney General?
President Trump.
You were the FBI director for all of those cases at the time. Which president nominated you?
President Trump.
Okay. What these facts show is we don't have a 2-tiered system of justice. We have one Department of Justice that goes after criminals regardless of party ideology. All of these folks were convicted under the administrations of 3 separate Republican attorneys general. It is not the fault of the FBI that Donald Trump surrounded himself with criminals. Donald Trump brought that upon himself. Thank you to the FBI for exposing the cesspool of corruption of these Trump associates.
Okay,
Your
so
response.
so my response is, I agree with, as I said, 90% of what Ted Lieu says. And I'm not taking it, well, I am taking it personal because he knows what the facts are. I am not Roger Stone, I'm not Paul Manafort, I'm not Mike Flynn, I'm not George Papadopoulos, I'm not any of the folks that he suggests. In fact, when he talks about that, it's that I pled guilty twice. That's true. The second one, as I talk about all the time here on the Beatdown, was my lying to Congress, the 1001 violation, which again was based upon the number of times. This is the lie. The number of times that I spoke to Donald Trump about a failed Trump Tower Moscow real estate project that I submitted to the Senate Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, which was the first committee that I gave testimony to. And I said the number was 3 when in fact the number was 10. And Ted knows all of this because in July of 2024, Ted Lieu, along with Hakeem Jeffries, penned a letter to Inspector General Horowitz at the Department of Justice saying, thank you for opening an investigation into the actions of the Department of Justice, DOJ, in both Washington, D.C. and Portland, Oregon. Attorney General Bill Barr has a record of suppressing First Amendment rights of Americans, and his use of unmarked federal units to overpower protesters in D.C. and in Portland raises serious concerns. Okay, has nothing to do with me. Next paragraph. Unfortunately, we have now learned that DOJ imprisoned Michael Cohen because he wanted to exercise his First Amendment rights. During a July 23rd hearing on the circumstances surrounding Mr. Cohen's imprisonment, Judge Alvin Hellerstein found, and I quote, the purpose of transferring Mr. Cohen from furlough and home confinement to jail is retaliatory, and it's retaliation because of his desire to exercise his First Amendment rights to publish a book and discuss anything about the book or anything else he wants on social media and with others, close quote. Judge Hellerstein then ordered the Federal Bureau of Prisons to release Mr. Cohen to home confinement. Okay, he goes on then to say, it is a core responsibility for our Department of Justice to execute the law in an equal and impartial manner. We cannot have a justice system where friends of President Donald Trump, such as Roger Stone and Michael Flynn, get special treatment, while those who speak out against him are wrongfully punished. And I suspect he's talking about me there. No one is above the law, not this president, not the attorney general, and not the officials at the Federal Bureau of Prisons. Okay? That's just the first. Then, of course, there's Michael Horowitz's response back to him, which is also a nothing burger, doesn't even answer any of the statements that Ted Lieu and Hakeem Jeffries put in a 2020 letter. Does not hear back from justice from Michael Horowitz until January 19th of 2022, 18 months later. This is a real problem. So Ted Lieu actually knows that I became the fall guy. I was the scapegoat. Am I responsible for the Stormy Daniels payment? Absolutely 100%. All right. Am I responsible for the Karen McDougal? I participated. The answer, though, is no. That was David Pecker of the National Enquirer that worked that out. All I did is look over the agreement in order to ensure that Donald was protected under the National Enquirer agreement. So my point being, while I appreciate what Ted Lieu is saying, and he's right, to group me in for whatever the reason might be, I have no idea. And in fact, I think Ted Lieu, 1, owes me an apology, and 2, should really find out from Michael Horowitz what the fuck is going on. How come I can't, after one full year, made a request under FOIA? And I hired Mark Zaid, a lawyer. 1 year ago, the court determined that the FBI, that the DOJ must process no less than 500 documents a month. It's 12 months now, and I have gotten 0. I'll go one step further, as I talk about in Revenge. When I first put in the FOIA request DOJ turned around and said that there are no responses that are related to your FOIA request. Well, I already had 4 or 5 documents in my possession, gave it to Mark Zaid. He then filed the papers. They apologized about 90, 180 days later. And they said, you're right. There are actually documents that are responsive to your FOIA request to the amount of 480,000 documents. So we went from 0 to 480. I'll tell you what I believe, brigaders. I believe in transparency. I believe this government, it's not a government for them, it's a government for us. And if I'm asking for documents that relate to me, because every one of those documents will show just what Trump, his administration, Bill Barr, and so many others were up to, this is the thing that needs to be exposed in order to ensure that the DOJ's reputation is, elevated to where it belongs, that our government is elevated to the, place where it should be, not where everybody believes that everyone in Washington is corrupt and that there is a 2-tier system. There is not, there should not be, but right now this is what we're dealing with.
No, I think it was an important clarification to show that video of Democratic Congress member Ted Lieu. Keep us posted if you do hear from him. Want to talk about MAGA Republicans attacking our military. On the one hand, you've got MAGA Republican Senator from Alabama, Tommy Tuberville, placing a hold and blocking all military promotions and confirmations. People may be wondering, how can he do this? Actually, the power of one senator to hold this off and prevent it and put it in this procedural morass, because there are hundreds and hundreds of confirmations that need to take place, which usually occur as just a blanket confirmation rather than having to go through the committee process and bringing each individual in for a vote, which would basically stop the Senate from functioning. So you have this MAGA Republican Senator, Tommy Tuberville, basically just blocking the confirmations in mass of our military leadership. It's like the first time, the Marines have not been able to have a actual confirmed commandant in, I think, 100 years, since 1910. And it has a cascading effect to all levels of military leadership, even forcing some of our most talented military leaders out. Recently, Biden's nominee to become the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, who's the Chief of Staff of the Air Force, the top position in the Air Force right now, General Charles Brown, CQ Brown, says, you're really causing serious harm, Tuberville, to our military, to our readiness, to our ability to recruit talent. By the way, Tommy Tuberville, just so you know his history and the character of these MAGA Republicans, he had started a purported charity for veterans before coming into the Senate, and it spent very little money at all on veterans. Tax records show. That's why people need to pay attention to who these people are and who these candidates are. Like, it raised close to $300,000, spent about $51,000 actually on vets. It was called a Ponzi scheme by his local paper as well. So that's what Tommy Tuberville's doing. Then you have the MAGA Republicans in the House of Representatives injecting all of their culture war and their issues about drag queens and transgender persons and gender equity, and of course the MAGA Republicans' hatred of Ukraine and pro-Putin. So they're putting in all these amendments. America needs to withdraw from NATO. Let me just show you what these MAGA Republicans are doing so you can see it for yourself, the types of amendments they're putting. Michael.
Yeah, but before we go further, I don't want to forget Tommy Flubberville. All right. You. All right. Honestly, the first time that, we're missing a leader in our military, they're using it, as you stated appropriately, in order to, cherry pick and pull things out of budgets. It's, again, anti-LGBTQ plus, anything that they can wrap into holding up this appointment. Nobody did that to Trump. Nobody did that. And they don't have to like the person that Trump is, appointing. That's fine. But somewhere along the line, Government needs to, it needs to fill itself. There needs to be people in leadership positions. The fact that this asshole can do this, I mean, I don't understand how. It just, to me, it makes no sense at all. And why he would do it makes even less sense to me. And for that, Tommy Flubberville, Blubberville, Tubberville, whatever the fuck, you grifting scumbag, two fingers salute to you, baby.
And could you imagine if this was the other way? I mean,
That's
could
right.
you
On behalf
imagine?
of the entire military, on behalf of the entire military, on behalf of all Americans that want to feel safe every single night when we go to bed and when we wake up.
Could you imagine if there was a Democrat doing what Tommy Tuberville would be doing right now? Could you imagine the outrage, wall-to-wall coverage from the media? That's why we focus on it here. I want to run down what these MAGA Republicans are doing. Here's MAGA Republican Congress member Rosendale talking about his big important issue in the NDAA. Play this clip.
Weakening our military, it is not making it stronger. We have drag shows taking place at Malmstrom Air Force Base. There are 150 ICBM missiles that are being controlled by that Air Force Base and by these individuals. I don't want someone who doesn't know if they are a man or a woman with their hand on a missile button.
Here is Marjorie.
Why? I'm sorry, and why? And why? Okay, you don't want it. Who gives a shit what you want? All right, you fucking racist pig. All right, that's all that you are. I mean, you're just a fucking hater. That's all that he is. And somehow or another, this hater managed to convince a bunch of idiots to vote for him. I mean, think about this also. You know, Tubbyville over there, right? He voted against the PACT Act, which is to benefit veterans. I mean, and yet, look at what he's doing. I mean, I'm blown away. I'm blown away that Republicans don't end up censoring him or this idiot. I mean, take your white privilege, your racist, misogynistic, homophobic ass, and then just go fuck yourself. Go back to the fucking mountains where you came from. Live with the group of people that believe the same shit that you do. Procreate all the fuck that you want, but just leave us all alone so that our democracy could continue to thrive, that we as people, that we can get rid of the divisiveness that's going on in this country. And the divisiveness is a direct result of idiots like that.
No doubt about it. And idiots like this. This is Marjorie Taylor Greene's floor speech from earlier in the day, attacking Ukraine. Play this clip.
America. Amendment number 6 directs the president to withdraw the U.S. from NATO. My amendment would direct the president withdrawal from NATO. They are not a reliable partner whose defense spending should be paid for by American citizens. For the better part of the last decade, Germany has contributed only around 1% of its GDP to finance NATO obligations, while the United States is paying around 4% of our GDP to defend NATO countries. The United States has been financing and promising to defend NATO countries for decades and paying more than its fair share. Western European countries could and should be stepping up their financial contributions to ensure the security of NATO. Instead, they are entirely beholden to Russia, and the U.S. taxpayer is expected to foot the bill. Amendment number 110 prohibits the provision of F-16 fighter jets to Ukraine. My amendment would prohibit the U.S. from sending F-16 fighter jets to Ukraine. Providing F-16 fighter jets to Ukraine will not only deplete our own fighter fleet, but it will escalate the proxy war with Russia, which is a nuclear power, rather than implementing diplomatic solutions. Again, we should not be funding war. We should be pushing for peace. Amendment number 113 prohibits the provision of long-range missiles to Ukraine. My amendment prohibits the U.S. from sending long-range missiles to Ukraine.
And just so you see there, those are the amendments that the Republicans are introducing, which I call poison pills, to try to stop the passage of the National Defense Authorization Act. Now compare that. This is Democratic Congress member Jared Moskowitz on the NDAA, National Defense Authorization Act. Play this clip.
So we're talking about the NDAA while this hearing's going on, supporting our defense, supporting our country, keeping our military superiority over China. It passed 58-1 in committee. Bipartisan, how it has always been and how it should be. Except now it's held hostage. It's held hostage over the culture war, right? It's not about defense. It's not about protecting the American people. No, it's about abortion or defending the Confederacy based on amendments that my colleagues have filed. Or it's about books again. We're back to books. Or it's about stopping mitigation to climate change. Anyone right now who's currently experiencing record flooding or record heat, they're not worried about defending the country. No, they're worried about stopping mitigation to climate change. The Senate's going to kick all this back to us. They're going to wipe all this culture war nonsense out. And so this is just theater. It's not about defending the country. They're holding up 250 nominees in the Senate to our military. My colleagues across the aisle are doing that. We can't appoint the head of the Marine Corps because of the culture wars. Hasn't happened since 1910. In October, when we're going to see the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff probably retire, nope, we won't be able to appoint that person either, based on this nonsense if it continues.
And then finally, I want to show you what Jared Moskowitz is saying about the knowledge that we've now learned that the missing whistleblower that the MAGA Republicans were saying has bombshell information on the Bidens, that this missing whistleblower is now a fugitive on the run. He is a unauthorized foreign agent of China who was procuring arms deals between like China and other countries and Iran and Libya. And again, this is an unauthorized agent of China on the run. This is what Jared Moskowitz said about him. Here, let's play this clip.
But they're focused on the audit of the Pentagon. Can you imagine if someone audited this committee? Oh wait, I have that audit of this committee. Actually, it's in form of an indictment. That's the audit of this committee. It's an indictment by the Department of Justice because this committee is focusing on working with foreign agents, right? We want to talk about national security. That's why you guys are here. It's about national security. But the main committee is working with an indicted Chinese agent who does business with the Iranian regime and is an illegal arms dealer to Libya. All of this in order to own Hunter Biden. That's how far they've stooped. It reads like a 007 movie, this indictment, except they're working with the villain. You know, that's why I've sent a letter to the China Select Committee, the chairman of that committee, to open up into an investigation into what's happening in oversight, because I'm deeply worried about whether the CCP has manipulated the information that's been provided to this committee through their foreign agent that they're working with, and the information that they're then providing to the American people. It's also why I've sent a letter to the chairman of Foreign Affairs and the chairman of Homeland Security, because I need to know, and the American people need to know, they have a right to know, whether the indicted foreign agent, the illegal arms salesman who is working within the Iranian regime, who is a supporter of terrorism around the world, that's who they're working with. We need to know whether they have jeopardized Homeland Security in their search to help Donald Trump in his reelection. I yield back.
So I want to get this straight. You've got the MAGA Republicans attacking the head of the FBI and the FBI, defund the FBI, defund the DOJ. You got the MAGA Republicans attacking the Department of Defense, stopping promotion, stopping the National Defense Authorization Act. And then you have the MAGA Republicans working with a foreign agent of China to try to overthrow the sitting United States president. Do I have that all right?
You do. And here's the big problem, because Moskowitz is a good man. All right. He gets the 2 thumbs up today. All right. Here's the big problem. So he goes ahead and he sends a request to the Inspector General to open up an investigation so we can find out more about this Chinese, Iranian nuclear arms dealer, the alleged whistleblower, and so on. And if it's anything like what I'm experiencing with FOIA, if it's anything like what Ted Lieu and Hakeem Jeffries are experiencing with Department of Justice in order to get these documents, this document, all right, this document dated January 19th of 2022 to the Honorables Ted Lieu and the Honorable Hakeem Jeffries from Michael E. Horowitz, Inspector General. Get a load of this. I mean, this is the problem. What's going to happen with Michael Horowitz? He will not get the information that he's looking for, that we need. We need the transparency so that we have faith in our country and that issues like this should never, ever happen again. But they respond back. I am writing in response to your letter dated July 24th, 2020, in which you requested that the Department of Justice Office of the Inspector General investigate allegations that then Attorney General William Barr and the Federal Bureau of Prisons improperly deprived Michael Cohen of his freedom in retaliation for exercising his First Amendment rights under the United States Constitution. This is the greatest line of them all. My apologies for failing to respond more promptly to your letter. Promptly? It's 18 months, and the only reason that even came up is because Ted Lieu and I happen to be on the same MSNBC program. Can you imagine? Promptly? What kind of bullshit is that? How are you expecting Moskowitz to do his job? How are you expecting to ever receive transparency when they hide? They don't return information. They don't provide the documentation. Everybody's fighting because they know that the release of any, for example, of my FOIA documents will absolutely show that Donald Trump, Bill Barr, and his administration weaponized the Department of Justice to the same exact extent that he is claiming right now, that Donald is claiming that the Biden administration is and has been doing to him, which of course is mere deflection.
Here's some breaking news, which I'm glad we do this show live. We are now learning that Special Counsel Jack Smith's team has brought Jared Kushner before the grand jury last month. Jared Kushner sat before the grand jury, asked questions about Donald Trump's knowledge about losing the 2020 election, trying to establish Donald Trump's intent with additional information. So Kushner before the grand jury, we can confirm that. And I'd be interesting to learn if there were other questions about their business dealings. As we learn more, we will share that with you. But that story just over the wire. Also, Special Counsel Jack Smith and his team just filed their reply brief in federal court in the Southern District of Florida, requesting that federal judge Eileen Cannon proceed with jury selection of the criminal case on December 11th, asking the court to reject Donald Trump's request for an indefinite delay of trial. Donald Trump's
Just
team
like
filed a brief.
case.
Donald Trump's team filed a brief saying that there should not be any dates on anything set until after the 2024 election. Jack Smith saying we are ready to go do jury selection on December 11th. This is going to be Judge Eileen Cannon's first and probably most important ruling. We will see how she rules there. I think it will impact all of Special Counsel Jack Smith's other moves depending on when this trial date is set. Knowing that Jared Kushner, again, Cohen, this is big news, Jared Kushner before the grand jury. Your reaction to that as that's breaking over the wire?
Listen, I think at this point in time, Jared has no choice but to tell the truth on everything. I mean, he got out of this administration, the Trump administration, every single thing that he and Ivanka wanted, and that is an enormous amount of money. Let's not forget that Javanka together earned over $640 million during the 4 years that they were senior advisors to President Trump. That as soon as he got out, 6 months later, he's the recipient of $2 billion plus from the Saudis and other foreign Gulf Coast countries for investment purpose, running it as a hedge fund, despite the fact that he lacks any of the credentials within which to be running anybody's money, least of all the Saudis. I mean, in fact, the Finance Committee for the Saudi Investment Authority stated that to Mohammed bin Salman, who turned around and said, I don't care, give him the money. There's a lot of things that's going on here. I've also said for a long time now that I believe that Jared and Ivanka are inside moles, that they are witnesses, and probably under the Witness Protection Act for as far as giving information, that they were the leaks, that Trump is dealing with. And that's why they're leaving him alone, because look at all the things that they have done. And you don't see anything, right, that jeopardizes their freedom. You don't see the actions coming against them. I mean, you talk about Jared, who was what? The secretary of everything? I'm not buying it, and I think it's pretty obvious. My opinion, but I think it's obvious.
So big news to close the show about updates in Special Counsel Jack Smith's criminal case in the Southern District of Florida, asking Judge Eileen Cannon keep that trial date December 11th that we're requesting. Technically, the trial date right now is in August. Jack Smith's requested December. The August was a placeholder date. Trump's requested no trial date. Let's talk about it after the 2024 election. And also, Jared Kushner, we can confirm right now, a new New York Times report is also confirming Jared Kushner before the grand jury in Special Counsel Jack Smith's criminal investigation into Donald Trump's 2020 election interference. Everybody, make sure to support Michael Cohen's Legal Defense Fund initiative. This relates to the $500 million lawsuit Donald Trump filed against Michael Cohen. All of the funds go to Michael Cohen's legal fees and legal bills. We appreciate your support. It's been hugely helpful. In the description, you'll be able to click the link, and it really does go a long way. Cohen's got some great lawyers, and we got to keep the fuel going so that great legal work can continue. Thank you, everybody who's contributed there. Everybody who has become a member of the MeidasTouch YouTube community, thank you as well. You see those great emojis, the Jack Smith emojis, the emojis for Political Beatdown, the emojis for Legal AF, the Michael Popak emojis, all of the emojis we have here. That's, if you get a membership to our YouTube, you get access to all of those emojis.
And can we do a Michael Cohen two-fingers salute emoji?
I'll have to go look at YouTube's terms of service. It's critical that we remain on YouTube. I will look into that, and I will get back to you. Maybe it could just be you with your fists up or something, and people can get the implication of what it is. But you could also gift memberships to people if you're already a member. And I saw many people gift other people memberships on the show. So special thanks to all of you who did that. That's one of the ways we grow this independent media platform. We don't have outside investors, so that's how we grow it. Go to store.MeidasTouch.com for the best pro-democracy gear. There's the official Mea Culpa podcast Mar-a-Lardo Correctional Facility shirt. When we designed this, we refused to have Donald Trump's face forward, so his face back with Mar-a-Lardo Correctional Facility. Check it out, store.MeidasTouch.com. Again, 100% union made, 100% made in the United States. Check out the Mea Culpa podcast. It's absolutely crushing it. We have another video going up this weekend of the most recent Mea Culpa podcast right here on the MeidasTouch Network. For those who subscribe to Political Beatdown on YouTube, please do us this favor. Make sure you subscribe on audio podcast as well. For those who listen just on audio podcasts, subscribe to the MeidasTouch Network. It really helps that you're subscribed to all of our platforms. It helps with the algorithms, and it helps get these videos in front of more people. And finally, to all the Political Beatdown brigaders, thank you all so much. Cohen and I always talk offline just how much we appreciate you, how grateful we are for this intelligent and compassionate and empathetic pro-democracy community, and super smart pro-democracy community. I love looking at your comments. I love sharing this time with all of you, and I love being a part of this community that you all created. So from the bottom of our hearts, thank you. The most important and best thing you can do is share these videos, tell others about our show, spread the message. Even if it's just one person, that has a huge exponential effect and could be a game changer going forward in protecting and preserving our democracy. So thank you all, brigaders. Michael Cohen, I must say, I always have the best time with you here. Always looking forward to doing this together. We'll see you next time on Political Beatdown. Thank you, brigaders. Shout out to the Meidas Mighty.